okay if I understand, you could take a copy of this and put it in Google Keep, and then attach notes and stuff to it from there?
No, I was just saying, during the meeting, if you want to make notes, you can use Keep or text that's on the, comes with the Chromebook. And then you can make your own folders to drive if you want, for the date of the meeting or whatever. And then you could put the documents for this meeting plus some notes in that folder.
In Drive?
In Drive, yeah.
Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Okay, everybody have a chance to read the minutes of the last regular meeting?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Okay.
She had one correction. I failed to note that Sheriff Beeson had left the meeting after his report, so I'll add that to the minutes.
Oh, okay.
I will move to approve as amended.
Okay, it's been moved by Amanda, second by Cale. All in favor? Those minutes are approved. The March 17th special meeting, which was just Amanda, Cale, and David. I hear a motion to approve the minutes on March the 17th.
So moved?
Moved by Cale.
Second.
Second by David. All in favor?
Can he
Approved. Okay, then we had a special meeting on the 19th. The same people, Cale, David, and Amanda.
I'll move.
Okay, been moved by David.
Second.
Second by Cale. All in favor? Approved. Okay, minutes are all approved. Consent agenda. We need permission for clerk to renew First National Bank CD 206602. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Amanda.
Second.
Second by Larry. All in favor? Approved. Visitors, you want to introduce your visitor, Larry?
This is my son, Brendan Finley,
And
kindergarten teacher, and he understands what the teachers are all in the school system's all going through right now, so he was just interested in coming and sitting in. It may actually apply towards his furthering education, and so invited him along.
okay. Well, this will be a short one tonight because of everything else everybody's trying to. Cody's not here, so we don't have a sheriff's report. So new business, we have the RV park license, the Homesteader Motel and RV Park. Do I hear a motion to approve the RV park license by the Homesteader? Moved by Cale.
Second.
Second by Larry. All in favor? Approved. Okay, we got tree trim license by Second Chance Ranch.
Who is that?
They're out of Goodland.
Todd Tersinski.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is a renewal. They've had one before.
so
Here.
moved.
It's been moved by Larry.
Second.
Second by Cale. All in favor? Approved. Okay, the Van Shell Rental Special Event Application by the St. Francis Alumni.
I will say that I talked to Cale, and they haven't determined yet what they're going to do, if they're going to cancel it or not.
Yeah.
You may have more
Everything's
information.
kind of on hold until kind of see how things lay out. We're holding up any mailings or anything like that.
Yeah,
So, but other than that, don't change the dates.
right.
Hopefully everything will leave now.
So as soon as they let
Because
you
that'll
know.
be June 19th, 20th. Hopefully, we're going a different direction by then. We better be. So do I hear a motion to approve the alumni for the park on June 20th?
The special events application is incomplete. They've marked, they're having a beer garden, and they've marked yes, will alcohol or cereal malt beverages be sold? and they have not marked that below on page 2, therefore the application is incomplete, and I would advise the council against approving it until they've submitted a revised application.
Right, they haven't turned in, because they don't know what they're doing, so they haven't turned in their, any of that, because they don't know if they're doing it or not.
Right, but it can't be approved. I'm advising the council against approving
Yeah,
it
good point.
until it is
Okay.
finalized. So if the council needs to continue this and note that it has been timely submitted, though incomplete, I'm also not sure why they would have marked yes up above for alcohol being sold and not marked yes below under either cereal malt beverage or alcohol and cereal malt beverage. Neither of that would be changed based on the date. So I do think that this is incomplete and advise the council against approving it as submitted.
Okay. I guess we'll put a hold on that, and maybe we'll need to go over to Cale Yonke and let him know that that's why we didn't approve it then.
Well, they're probably holding off, though, like I said, they're
Yeah.
not going to apply for the license and stuff if they don't know they're going to have it, because it costs them money.
Which,
So-
I'm not so sure that they've gotten to that point that they're even clear on that. So that's something that I probably ought to touch base with Carol on and find out.
right. And that's understandable if they don't know whether or not they're even going to be having it and they haven't obtained the licensure. That's understandable. But as it is submitted, the required documents have not been submitted with the application as it was amended in the previous meetings.
You'll get a hold of him then?
I'll get
Larry.
I'll get a hold of Carol and find out.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to old business, property cleanup. Projects pending, anything on the back there we need to look into? Some of that, I guess, be later on down the road sometime, like the old pool property and stuff, but in order to keep our meetings as to a minimum, I think we'll just move on then. Street project, any more on that?
We're still waiting to have a conference call with the bonding folks as far as getting all of the right wording into the one notification letter for curb and gutter, trees, and whatever the requirement of the grant is as well. So we have not had that conference. There was an attempt last week that did not happen, so we're kind of relying on Mike, I believe, trying to put that together. And that is the only thing moving on the street.
With this fires going on, you know, it might have to prolong it, because they might not have crews to be able to send to us.
You never know. But I do think
Until-
we have money tied to that, and we
Right.
must definitely need to
Still
keep it
need to
moving
have
as
it.
if we're going. So
Yeah.
those letters need to get out in a timely manner.
Yeah. Okay, building permits,
I don't have any.
superintendent report.
Just quickly, I checked with Ryan if there was any other updates from the standpoint of understanding he is still assisting the county health, who is in charge of the county as far as health. They have declared a county emergency. Now, that's based on they do that on the local level, so you can receive resources when needed. If you don't have that declaration in place, they can't apply for it. We are not in need of anything right now. Food supply, everything is fine. But they're doing it just because the state had that, and it's just a preemptive thing. In that instance, there would be supplies of any kind needing to be coming our way. Other than that, we just have some emergency sick leave mandates that are coming down, the CISA guidelines as far as crew members. All it is it's about keeping infrastructure going. I'm following the guidelines. I'll leave it at that. It's just about keeping people healthy and keeping the lights on and things going. So we're doing what we need to for that.
There's, I'll interrupt just real quick, the document that he's referencing is out on the share, if you guys want to read it, about the emergency sick leave.
It's in the LKM, I think, in the LKM newsletter, and it basically is just a thing that says anything having to do with or relating to the COVID-19. There's 8 hours available, but there is requirements that be tied to that. So, and of course, between the office and me, we'll make sure we utilize that properly. And that's all I have.
Is that that's on Google Drive?
I did share it today. So if you were using the link, if you're not using the link to get to it, I may have to share the whole thing with you like I did.
I just don't
with
remember, okay, I just don't remember seeing it.
It just got put there today.
I apologize. I do have one other thing. Should that be personnel as far as the pay? I don't think that is because there's no names. It's not. Never mind. I'm thinking out loud. The theater come up. Of course, we closed the theater because of groups, and pay came up. Lila found out that they are available to apply for unemployment. I think that's like a third rate. I mean, and they've been given all the documentation to do that. The theater board has been notified that they can apply for that. I don't know, at what rate that will pay them or what the situation is, whether we want to have a discussion with it now or the following meeting, but they do have the documentation to apply for the unemployment. The one comment I would make on the theater is that those kids take a lot of pride in that, and it's just kind of been taken away from them. They're not paid a lot. It's almost more like volunteers. It's important that we retain them, whatever that takes. I mean, obviously the unemployment's there, but just want to make that comment that they take a lot of pride in it. It's not likely their unemployment will cover what they would get paid. I'm sure they should get paid full amount. That's for you guys to decide, but I just wanted to comment on that.
Then there's a document out on the share as well, just a fact, questions about that I sent to those employees today, and you can see what it was. Here's Scott, here's a
So
copy.
do you think that they're going to apply for it or not?
Well, being they're eligible,
Yeah.
they're required. That's their income. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the only thing the council would have to consider is if it's at a 66% rate, do you offset it or do you not? Or do you say that unemployment's unemployment? I think that's the only part that's probably a relevant part of the conversation, where it is available and it has been enacted specifically for individuals in that situation. That's where they go first. I mean, that's what it's for.
Okay.
And I'll help them as I can, but it's something that they have to initiate,
Right.
so.
Okay.
Lila emailed me on this today also regarding it, and I told her that that was outside of the scope of anything that I was able to advise on. My job is to advise the city and the council what their rights are and what their rights, responsibilities, defenses, etc. are regarding personnel, not to advise the city how to advise their employees. I think it's great that the city cares about the employees and they are, Lila took the time to find this and send it to them and let them know what their options are, but I also caution the council or the city employees against telling people what they can do, because if that is considered to be interpretation of the laws or the regulations or whatever is promulgated, that can be considered the unauthorized practice of law, and that can open up a liability. So while documents such that have come from the state may be forwarded to employees, advice on what to do should not be given by anyone who is not an attorney. And I personally don't think it should be given by me, because my job is to represent the city, not the employees of the city. That's just something to keep in mind as we go forward in
I mean,
this.
as human resources, I am obligated to provide to our employees information that they need
Right.
in situations like this.
Correct, which is
Yeah.
why I stated that I think it is appropriate to pass along the documents, but not necessarily to interpret those documents if they ask questions on them.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll leave it up to them to file. So, okay. Okay, any other questions for JR? If not, do I hear a motion to accept and file the superintendent report?
So moved.
Moved by Larry, second by Dare. All in favor? Approved. Attorney report, anything on?
Yes, I met with Amanda on Friday to discuss the highway right-of-way issue that we've been having, the access road, with the state of Kansas. And based on what I got from Amanda, my understanding of what Mike had attempted to do and didn't really get anywhere, and it's been mostly Amanda, that this has kind of gone round and round, and we've come back to where we've started several times. It seems to be each time she speaks with the individual in Oberlin. He has somewhat different of an opinion on the matter. And so I am suggesting that the council decide that effective immediately, all correspondences regarding this matter need to be in writing. Therefore, if he says, I didn't say that, we can say, yes, you did, and send him a copy of it. I also suggest that I be CC'd on any correspondence, or that you require him to send it through my office. This is done just so that way we have one method of tracking, and we can either do it on the Google Drive if we want to have it there and be shared, but I am recommending that anytime that correspondence is done with him going forward, it needs to be in writing, and if he gives us a phone call on the phone, we need to tell him to take a time out and send it via writing. The other thing is that the governor issued an order prohibiting gatherings of more than 10 people. This is to go into effect at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. As you can see from sitting around the table, there are 9 of us, which means that we can have one person in the audience, and then we're in violation of the order. We still are required to comply with the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The Attorney General issued a statement on that. We will be needing to therefore set up either a live stream, either video or audio, and we will need to have some way for people to, if they were going to be visitors, to comment. Either we can have them, I guess, schedule a time for visitors to come in, and they can come in one at a time, or they can come in via phone, which we can put on speakerphone and have audible for if it's being streamed on the website or on the city's Facebook. But we are required to still comply with the Kansas Open Meetings Act, while we are also required to comply with the governor's order prohibiting gatherings of more than 10 people. As the situation evolves, I will keep you apprised of any recommendations that I may have, but just so we know, for the next meeting we will be having, we will need to account for that. I am requesting 15 minutes at the end when we can of executive session regarding non-elected personnel. This falls under exclusion B1. The matter that I will be discussing will also fall under B2, subject to attorney-client privilege. So I am requesting 15 minutes of executive session.
Okay. What are your plans on that, Lila, for the next meeting?
So there's 2 documents that I put on the share for everybody to look at, just for your information. One's an Attorney General guidance for open meetings, but this is kind of what Lauren's referencing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a teleconferencing and technological guidelines out there as well. There's a lot of options that we can use, and I'm trying to figure out what would be best. There's an option called Zoom that some communities have used. My son's familiar with it, and he happens to be here now, so he may be able to help us get that set up. I mean, this is beyond my realm of expertise, so I don't know how to set this up, and so I will do the best I can. Obviously, we've got my thoughts are a teleconference type of a thing, an audio thing where people can call in and listen. The information I got from the league was that COMA doesn't require you to allow public comment unless they're, I guess, asked to be on the agenda.
Right. No, that's more what I was considering, is that if we have visitors who have a matter to bring before us, that we can schedule them at a time, so that way perhaps we're saying, if we have 3 people who need a permit or a meeting or request information, they can come in. Someone comes in at 7:15, somebody comes in at 7:20, somebody comes in, or however long they're scheduled for, but we give them a staggered time, so that way we have just one person in at a time. My understanding of Zoom is that it takes a bit to set up, and I don't know if it could just be people calling in. The Zoom meetings that I've had to do, we've had to have kind of a code to get on a call or to get on a chat, and I don't know if there's a more efficient way to do that, or if it's just due to the nature of what was being discussed, we had a higher security level. I don't know. I have not looked into it, and this may be something that you would want to do. Giving, I guess, a press release or a notice that it will be streaming a link to the stream will be on the city's website, and then I know the city has a Facebook page, and the Facebook Live is now a thing, and so we could stream it on Facebook Live, which they could go to the city's website to get a link and go in there. So it's not necessarily like, hey, go to Facebook for your information. It's go to our website, click on the link, you will be taken to the live stream, and if that just so happens to be via Facebook, then we can do that. But doing it via Facebook, if we had the Facebook page up, if there was a comment or a concern, and I know it's not required for us to give public comment, but I think in this, people may have questions as we go through these,
So who's
a lot of the
watching
changes.
that?
That's the thing, is that we could have, I don't know if you would want to have somebody, I mean, my concern would be if we're going to have it up and open and somebody comments, we either need to make it known that we're not going to respond to comments in session, or that we will respond to them outside of the session. And so I don't know, I mean, I know you're taking minutes, I could do it, if it comes up, I think we can share it between everybody who has their computers open, but I'm not sure this is going to be something that,
The only
this
thing,
is a whole new adaptation process that we're all going to be going through.
if we open it up to them like that, though, we're going to get a lot of what I call crap that we don't need to waste our time. You know, when they're face to face with us, if we allow them to come in, if they do get on the agenda, then that's different. But when you open it up like something like that, it's just going to be a way for some people just to blow off at us for some reason.
Well, then, perfect. Then, I mean, I think we can still make it available via that media. I mean, Zoom sounds like it may be a great option. I don't know what level of security or what level of logging in would need to be had. Otherwise, we just make it clear.
But it's a public meeting, so security, what would be the security?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that when I've had to use Zoom, we've needed to kind of set it up. I don't know if that's standard protocol for Zoom to
I
need
see.
a code to access, or if they had implemented an additional level because of the confidential nature of what was being discussed in the meeting I was in. So I think I'm trying to present, I think Zoom might be a good idea. I'm trying to, while we have the council here, also present an alternative idea in the event Zoom is not necessarily feasible. I also don't know how well it works with mobile devices, and since the library is now closed, certain individuals may not be able to access a computer. And so I was just...
Have you ever worked with GoToMeeting?
I have not.
GoToMeeting, is that the one you said? Yeah.
GoToMeeting, you
Yeah,
can
that
use
was another one.
your phone, your laptop, whatever.
Oh, I've used... yes, we have. I needed a code to log into that one, too.
Do you know how to use that?
And I don't know if that's just because
Sure.
when of the nature of the business that I'm usually using them for. It may be that we can say go to meeting at this time, and it might be something that says you need a code, and the public has free access to the code, and we put it on the website. The code for this week's go to meeting is, and you put that in. You put whatever that code is, and then anyone who has a computer can log on and go in. But I think that there's going to...
Disseminating that code could be a headache.
Sorry?
Disseminating that code could be a
I
headache.
mean, not if we make it known the code can be found each week on the website. I don't know how easy it is. Do you update the website? Do we have someone else update the website? Okay. Would
But
you
not
be...
everybody has, here's my thing with all of this, using Facebook and all of that. I feel like we need to have a way for people just to call in and listen, because everybody has a phone, not everybody has a computer. So like a simple conference call where people just can dial a number and listen to what's happening.
You have to be able to amplify it to where...
But if somebody
Well,
wants to
we're
be on
gonna
the
have to-
agenda and wants to interact, don't you have to have an off-site location where they can actually have a conversation?
I wonder if there's a way that we could combine both of these.
And that's what I'm wondering about, like the library. If the city owns the library, that could be the access point. No, it's not simple, but these aren't exactly simple circumstances. Make the computer available, make it link to here to there for someone who wants to be on the agenda, and it's a controlled environment, just like it is here. If somebody wants to listen in, then you could have that dial-in thing or whatever. But when somebody wants on the agenda and a back and forth, you almost have to provide them a setting, don't you?
I think, I mean, as long as not more than one person is coming in.
And how often this happens, and through this, how much we're going to deal with this, it's probably very little, but we have to have the ability, I think, is the greater.
But they could come in here, physically come in here.
Yeah,
is what
one
you're
person,
saying.
one person at a time could physically come in here to interact with the council if they're on the agenda. I mean, I don't think that that is necessarily a problem. The calling in, I don't know how that would work, because if the line is busy, I mean, I'm just not sure how we would, I mean, we'll have to look.
Conference call.
Oh, there's conference calls, they get hundreds of people on those things.
Yeah.
You
Right.
just dial in and mute, and just listen, so that would be the.
But we have to set up a I mean, we'd have to set that up with.
That's real simple, that's through your phone, how do you, I'm not sure.
Well-
how
So
you do
because,
it with weather all
well,
the
when
time.
we do the conference call, I mean, when we do conference calling in my office, which we do frequently, we have to have, each line has someone on it, and then they're all on the same phone.
So have you seen those, like, for emergency management and or weather, what they have is they'll send you an email that says dial in, here's your code, please mute your phone. We've seen those. Because those will take in hundreds of calls.
Right.
And you just mute and then you can just listen in. I don't know how they work exactly, but it must be simple because everybody
But
does
that's
it.
the disseminating the code, that, if, I mean, how are we going to disseminate the code?
Just on the public website.
Yeah, that would be.
You know, it's an open meetings thing, just give access. It's the same code to anybody.
Right, but that goes back to what you were saying of not everybody has the internet. So would we, I mean, would this be something that, well, that's the thing is, I mean, would we put it in the paper? Would we tell the paper we need to have, and I don't know, I'm just trying to.
Would we be
I guess-
wise to have someone like a Jason Patrick come in and tell us the most feasible, reasonable way to accomplish our goal here? Because that's his field of expertise.
I don't know. There are two different things. I think just some research on the two different things. The listening in, so you have your public access to listen in, and then you're calling in for the agenda, which you have to give them, I think, either a platform here as an individual, or if it's a group which exceeds the number, a location like the library, or supervised or whatever, and you have a back and forth. Those would seem to be the
I
two
mean,
things that
they
would
can
cover
also,
us,
they
wouldn't
can
they?
also, if they have, I mean, if they have a group, they can also, I guess, call in and just not be muted. Or they could, I mean, they could video conference, and as long as the recording could hear them. I mean, I'm just trying to, I'm not trying to come up with a solution or say that we need to necessarily do this tonight, but I feel like the discussion is generating some relatively good ideas, and it's generating some possible complications and possible resolutions of those complications, and rather than attempting to inundate everyone as we prepare for the next meeting, if we can kind of get that out in the open tonight.
Having lived through 20 years of teleconferencing, if you could figure out a way to do it without them having to mute themselves, because it's a nightmare. It's always a nightmare.
You can use, so there's one that I was looking into, although it
What's
didn't.
that?
The schools are using Zoom.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Schools using Zoom.
Yeah.
So this conversation is a good faith effort of this meeting in trying to line it up, and we have multiple ideas, now research.
Oh, as you look at me,
What are the
I've been
commissioners
trying.
doing?
I'll find out about that call-in thing, because the weather service does emergency management.
I don't think the commissioners have
Seems simple
necessarily
for
this much of an
listening.
issue, because they have the three commissioners, the city clerk, or the county clerk, and then the county attorney. And so, because there are 5 council members here and 4 non-council members that attend, they're looking at 5 people in attendance, so they have a leeway of 5 additional people, but we have a leeway of 1 additional person. And they video all of their meetings.
Actually, Cody's here, we don't.
Oh yeah, if Cody's here, we don't.
He'd have to be on.
Well, so I guess,
Come and go.
I suppose the thing to do would be to tell Cody he has to leave after his report, and I can't come in until after Cody's report, if that, I mean, and I have no problem, I really have no problem doing
Another way to deal with that would be
that.
to split the council, because like the CISA recommendations are groups for working infrastructure and government bodies not be in the same place exposing each other. So you could take 3 of the council members and have them off-site, which would then give you the capacity to have that too.
Well, I can
And
leave
you could also
again.
deal with that. Yeah, but you still got to be in the meeting, just not actually here. So that's a possibility too.
and you could, on the conference call thing, if everybody called in, either by phone, or I think you can call in with your computer too, but the person who leads the meeting, who opens the meeting and starts the meeting, can mute all the lines. And the council members can have the PIN number to come in, and so when you log in, you're actually another leader in the meeting, so your line is not muted. Everybody can hear everybody, but everybody that's not a council member is muted.
Do we have options?
Perfect. Perfect. I just wanted to make. I mean, it sounds like Lila had these on. Lila had these on the drive-in, so it sounded like she was prepared to talk about them. I didn't know whether you'd be talking about them or not. I figured you might, but as we get guidance and as the governor issues an order, I just felt like it was my job to advise council. This is what's coming down. This is what we need to be prepared with. We also need to continue to comply with COMA. Other than that.
Okay, well, I guess between now and 2 weeks from now, JR and Lila come up with something. Okay, any questions for Lauren?
I'm still asking for 15 minutes of executive session. Okay.
Okay, do I hear a motion to accept and file the attorney report? Moved by Cale, second by David, all in favor. Approved. Clerk report.
Well, some of my stuff is covered. I really want to get the computer equipment figured out. So on your, sorry, Scott, let me give you this. So on your share, if you look up the, my notes here, the one that's, I think it says CIC quote 1. Does everybody see that? I hope so.
I guess I'm not in the right spot, because I haven't seen a lot of stuff she's been talking about.
You might need to, how did you log in? How did you access your
I'm
share?
going through my email.
You are? You clicked on the link?
I don't have anything from today.
Okay,
No.
so it's not from today. When she sent you the link back when we were preparing for the meeting, it says link to documents for today.
Okay.
It was on Thursday at 4 o'clock. If you click in that email, there is a link that says, here's a link to the documents. And then when you click that, that goes to the city drive, the city Google Drive, and you can access from there.
That's what I was missing.
Sorry.
But Cale, no, thank you. But Cale pointed out that I can start sharing the whole thing to your username, that you're using to log into your Chromebook, and that would work better. And so I'll start doing that.
Because I've got 2 documents on that link.
I don't know. I'm
Try
sorry.
going out and go back in, because I just did that, and I had 2 documents 20 seconds ago, now I have like 9.
Do you mean get all the way out of Drive?
Mm-hmm.
Just refresh it too. That should work.
Dara, I'm sorry. I didn't know you didn't have yours up and running, or I would have printed it for you.
No, that's fine, that's fine. I was working in the bank today, or I would have printed them.
Yeah, I've just got the 2.
I did look at the stuff on my emails, but.
Do you see them, Amanda?
Yeah.
I'll just carry on. I'll just give you the details. So the first quote was that we look at is strictly from CIC, which is our software vendor. So with that said, they are our software vendor. They will sell hardware, but they don't install this hardware, and they don't do any of that. So what would happen if we went with strictly with their quote? They would ship the hardware here. It would be up to me and Jen to put it in, bring the server over, hook it all up, and then they would take over and do all the software migration. I don't really want to do that necessarily. The quote for that was $11,383.92. That includes the backup disaster recovery that I've been talking about, and then all of the migration that has to happen, all the software migration, but none of the installation at all. So the second quote And it also doesn't include the SQL license, which we will need on the server, which is another $795. So the total quote from CIC, if they do it all, is $12,108.92. I'm proposing that we go with the combination of Reach Solutions and CIC. If you look at the Reach Solutions quote, you'll see that it's, I think it's actually maybe it's $5,671. They will come in, they'll move the server over for me, they will do all of the installation, they'll do the migration of the non-prioritized software, the non-CIC software. They'll install the SQL Server license. The big difference between them and CIC is in the Microsoft Office. CIC provides a one-time install product, whereas Reach Solutions has the one where you subscribe to, so there's a monthly charge. You're not seeing the monthly charge on this, but that's only $33 a month for Microsoft Office. And they are functionally equivalent, so I'm being told. So that's kind of not really something to be concerned about. The big thing for me is that they will do it all. And then we combine that with the third quote that you'll see from CIC, which is for their part of the software migration, and then the backup recovery, the disaster recovery backup. When you combine those all together, the Reach Solutions quote is $5,671, and the CIC is $5,045, and so that's $10,716. So it's a pretty good savings if we go that route over having CIC do it all, but not really all because they won't install it for me. So I think that's the way to go. And I don't know, do you have any questions?
If something goes wrong with the software, then we got to fight with CIC instead of Reach then.
Well, they support our software now. I mean, so the software part of it doesn't change as far as that. The support, yeah, that's all CIC. That's not going to change. And the other thing is having a local resource who does the installation of the hardware. Then we're not necessarily paying them to support it, but if we need them, they're here to support it. Once it's
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, once it's installed, I don't foresee having to have any problems. We've never had any problems.
So you'll be working off of the server farm as opposed to having CIC installed then?
No. We'll have the server from the police department physically here. This is a backup recovery, so for example, if something were to happen now or we couldn't get in here and access our computers, we could still, although that's something else I wanted to talk about, but that would be like if a tornado hits, we can still function because they've got a backup of our entire operation on their remote backup. And for that ongoing is another $1,300 every year for that disaster recovery. But that's the intent of that, is so that we can continue to function in the event of emergency.
But you don't operate off, because over in
No.
the county, we log into the server farm, so we don't.
That is an option.
Okay.
That is another option. I didn't ask for a quote for that. If you want me to ask for a quote for that, I will.
Didn't know if that's the way it was operating, or, so they're just backing up whatever data you have.
Yes. And the reason I hesitated with that is if we were to lose internet for whatever reason, then we cannot function. If we have it here on our server here, we can still operate without the internet. So that's why I hesitated to go completely remote like that. So this is just a backup server for emergencies. But if you guys want me to do the other, I will get a quote for that.
I was going to say, if that's the way it was going, I could give you a few tips on some things that, a few hiccups in doing it that way as far as things to make sure, but if you're not, then.
No. The other thing that I'll mention, and I talked to Matt about this, and this isn't in any of the quotes, but with this current situation, I did ask him if our server could be set up for work from home if necessary. It would just be a virtual, I think it's a virtual private network with that sonic wall that they had in the police station that could be moved over here, and that could be set up so that say I got quarantined and had to take care of my husband, I could still work from home. It would be a not normal thing. That wouldn't be something that we would do as a norm, but it would be something that, in this kind of a situation, that would be good to have. If the council wants me to, I did not get a quote for that. I can't imagine it would be that costly since we already have the hardware. It would be a matter of him installing whatever needs to be installed to make it happen. Does that not sound right, Lauren?
I think
Yeah, no.
there was just a service contract with Reach included in that quote, is there not?
No, that's for the hardware, for the
Okay.
PCs. I think that's just a hardware contract.
No, that may be in, I mean, I think installing that might be additional, but I don't.
It would be.
Okay.
It would be above and beyond this quote that we got, because that was just something that occurred to me yesterday, was that there's functionality, there's functions that I do and functions that Jen do, and if we weren't able to come to the office, for example, payroll, I'm not sure how we would make that happen. We have not cross-trained for these kinds of things, and we probably maybe should have, but we're not at this point in time, so we have to figure something out just in case. So if the council's okay, I might ask Matt to go ahead and do it if it's less than $500.
Okay, what's everybody's thoughts? If we go with the Reach Solutions for the $5,671, and then the CIC for the software is $5,045, which is $10,716. And do you want to give additional for what Lila's asking, up to $500 if they could work from home then? So that'd be 11,216. So if we cap that at like 11,300, and then if it's cost way more than $500, you just have to come back and visit with us again. Okay, do I hear a motion to just kind of cap the computer plan here, stuff and software for 11,300, and go ahead and get this moving? Been moved by Amanda, second by Cale. All in favor? Approved.
I'm going to abstain because I honestly, quite hadn't had a chance to even look at it, so.
I apologize, Larry.
No, it's not your fault. I think Jared has shown me how to access it.
And I can't get this, I don't know how to do, since you can't do a right click on
Well, I've
these
got it
things.
now.
Oh, do you have
He
it now?
just showed me how to hit it.
Oh.
He come up and hit me over the head several times.
Oh, good. Okay. Let me see here. We already talked about that. I postponed the installation of the time card software until another time. Just now doesn't seem like the right time to be having people come in and install software.
And I thought CIC put a halt to sending out people.
Yeah.
I thought we had received an email on the county side that they were limiting sending people out to install stuff.
They were, but I got an email from Mark Zeltner, who is the guy that was going to do it, today, and he said he would still be able to come if we wanted him to on April 13th. And I said, well, who knows what's going to be like on April 13th, so we'll see. But for right now, I have not moved forward with that, and I feel like when the time is right, we'll move forward with that. This isn't it. Plus, that disrupts our office for 3 days.
That was not the time.
That is true. Got an update from the county on the screening process. Amanda sent it to me, and I sent it out with some additional questions that the county is now asking. Have you traveled to the KC metro area, Denver metro area, or Colorado Springs area on or after March 23rd? Do we want to add that to our screening questions?
not March 23rd.
What's that?
Not
Oh,
March
after March
23rd.
23rd?
March 23rd.
Oh, okay. Well, I might be. If,
Well, Denver's in a shelter in place as of today, I think, right?
Yeah, except for we might be going after grandkids.
So do you want me to add this question or not?
It just as well.
That's the recommended thing.
That's
Just
what
as well.
the county's
Okay,
doing.
if this ever changing, whatever I get, I'll pass along and we will just adopt whatever the county has in place for their screening.
Is that what you want to do?
I'll make that motion to just go ahead and, as it ever changes, that we'll just adopt the same screening as.
County.
Because at the clinic, they asked, have you traveled in this,
As hotspots are popping up.
So
And
maybe
I'm
change
sure
it.
they've added these Denver and that on the clinic now, haven't they?
I would
Because the other day it was just 3 counties,
Mhm.
but now they're saying the Denver metro area and the others, so.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they've added that over there too. So.
I think they added Kansas City as well, didn't
Mhm.
Kansas City, Denver, and Colorado Springs.
they?
Okay, Amanda made the motion that we'll just file suit with what the county does. Did I hear a second to that? Second by David, all in favor? Approved.
Okay.
What's that?
Filed suit.
Filing suit. I thought you were suing.
Information on paying the utility bills, it'll be in the newspaper this week, so everybody will know. We're also going to send it out as a mailing with the bills. So people who don't have Facebook and all of that will still be notified of what's going on, along with the news, the press release about the City Hall closing and options. And
Have you put it on Facebook also?
yeah, it's on Facebook, it's on our website, and it will be in the newspaper, and then in May, it's on the bills. The executive order for the non-disconnects, so obviously we're not going to send out disconnects notices this week, but what I'd like to do is on Wednesday, that's people know that they owe, and I'd like to call the folks on Wednesday who haven't been able to pay and just, let them know you're not being shut off, but encourage them to pay what they can when they can, because if they don't, there's another bill coming out next week, and they're just going to get further and further behind. And I just feel like just a verbal, please pay what you can, and explain that, and maybe they will be able to. Because the next time it comes around, at some point in time, this is going to come due and payable. And
Some places aren't charging fees.
right, so
That's what I was just going to
Yeah.
say, if I may, Cal brought up in the last meeting or one of the, not executive session, in the emergency management meeting, do we want to be charging fees? Is that something that we want? And because it was outside of the scope of why we were meeting for the special meeting, we were unable to discuss it at that time. But Cal had brought up, does the council want to be charging late fees with these?
Did state of Kansas have any kind of provision on that?
They have not, as I have seen, issued guidance on it. They've just
can't shut
mandated
it
that you
I'll
cannot
bet they
shut it.
Clarify that.
Sorry?
I bet they clarify that. That question's got to hit every town when
Well,
you're
I would
saying.
think
I
Yeah.
haven't
They're
seen,
gonna
I
call
haven't
everybody.
seen any releases.
I'm saying they will.
Oh,
I bet they will, because they'll get asked that from every.
I would think so, but I think that's,
I think if Lida's going to call everybody that's late, and we know that they've been impacted, we should just not charge a fee.
So we can't do that for this time. For this time, this mandate didn't come out until after our due date. So, but we can do it for the next time, absolutely.
Well, we know there's going to be some people getting in trouble on this.
Yeah.
There's going to be some
Right.
people.
Your clerks
If they
will-
don't have jobs,
There's
don't
been a
have
lot
money
of
coming in,
conversation
they're going
about
to get
Well,
in
even
trouble.
every business owner, everything's
Not a,
gone
not a
cut in
consensus
half
though, or
basically.
really?
Yeah,
People,
3 days.
everybody's doing different things.
Sure.
We're all gonna
And I think
be
if guidance from the league is that's up to the
So-
municipalities
Oh, really?
on the late fees. Now, we have a conference
May
call tomorrow, and I'll send this question and ask the league.
Would it also depend on how late they are?
definitely next month.
Um,
So this month, though, they were due on the 15th.
Right.
Um,
The delinquent notices went out on the 16th, and this mandate came down on the 17th. So people have already come in and paid, and they've already paid their late fees. Those, you know,
yeah.
it's a little too late for this, because it didn't come before the bills were due. But definitely for the next time, they can be ready.
Well, we could address that in another meeting.
Well, we could. But
Mm.
there's also the fact
We
that
need to
what if
know
some of
first.
these people were counting on this week's pay or whatever to get caught up, and now they can't even do that, so.
Sure they can. Because that
Not
mandate didn't
everybody.
even come
It
down
doesn't matter
until
when the
after
mandate came out,
bills.
it's the business that has dropped off.
He's talking about their paycheck.
Oh, I
It's
see.
their paycheck
They
or
didn't get their
whatever.
paycheck, so now they're behind.
Right.
They'll be further behind and further behind.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so maybe we should just allow it this month
During
and
this
next month.
time.
For the next month, but what are we going to do? Are you suggesting then, because you can't waive the late fees for this group of people, these other people that have already paid their bills and the late fee, are you going to give them a credit then next month, or
Of the late fee
The
amount?
late fee, I don't know.
it's $20 is the late fee, $20.40?
Would we just not pick it up next month and put it into place
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
month?
Yeah.
Wait and
Put it
see
in
how
place
things-
this next month.
Wait and see how things lay
Give
out.
you
in
time
the
to
next
announce
couple
it.
weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be easy to do. That's
Through
not a
this time
problem.
period, I think.
Because the mandate, well, let's see, so the next bill's, yeah, April 15th. And our next meeting's the 13th.
And how many people do we have, do you know, that are late now?
I do not know. Generally, on this, around this time, we usually have around 20, and it's generally the same ones, and most of them come in and pay. There's only a couple that don't, that get subject to disconnect.
Yeah.
I feel like with this order, then the ones that haven't paid may not, and it's hard to say.
Can we see how many people this month have already paid late? And how many still owe it?
Well, everybody that hasn't paid up to now owes it.
Right, but I wonder how
Um,
many people there are.
Let me ask Jen. So but what are you suggesting when we find that out?
Why?
No, what are you suggesting we do with that information?
Well, determine if we should, we'll definitely waive it for April, but I'm wondering if we shouldn't waive it for the rest of this month, from the mandate out.
But the problem with that is people have already paid it. So what do you do with the people that have
Well,
already
we
paid
cut them
it?
$20 next month. Everybody's gonna be hurting with this,
So give them a credit?
except the city. The city's gonna get
I'm
everything.
not arguing that, Cale. I'm
No, I
just
know.
trying to
I'm
figure
just
out
saying-
how we're going to do it in the office.
I know.
Well, he just said, give everybody who paid the late fee
Credit
for
back.
a $20 credit towards their April bill. And so it's just waiving the late fee.
Okay.
Just waive late fees for,
How difficult is that going to be for you to?
I would have to ask him. I don't really know the answer.
That's a simple approach.
Just while I was doing that, I'll come back to her, the council comments. You got anything, David?
I still have some things.
I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the subject that I talked with you about earlier. I've had a number of people talk to me about non-essential business, and do we have an opinion on that one way or the other?
On a
non-essential business.
To be closed?
Or, obviously, there's nothing that can be mandated, but
Yeah. We just got a new thing from Candy, right? Candy Duffet on the central businesses that remain open. Did you see that? Anybody else see it? From Candy Duffet?
But I think it really needs to come from higher up, the mayor, or if, you know, if all of a sudden we have some confirmed cases in town, then that's different, then that changes it, then
So
that
basically,
changes.
we get, in my opinion, for what our job is in this instance, get our guidance from the health department. Going forward, they may close eating establishments from open area eating. They may go to other restrictions. That's all based on whether we get infections here or how close they get. So to preemptively do that prior to the health department recommending it, I mean, that's where we get our information and where we get our updates.
Yeah. What's everybody else think? Wait until, you know, either the governor passes it down, or like I said, if we get confirmed cases here in Cheyenne County, then it puts more responsibility on the county than cities to make that decision. Okay.
It's on 222.
Thank you.
And as far as I know, almost every business in town is limiting access, and like we're not allowing dine-in right now. It's pick up or delivery only. I think everyone else is doing that.
And I think every business has noticed that people aren't coming in. too.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
very slow.
Yeah, you can just look down Main Street and see.
Yeah, it's ghost town.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and go with your stuff then, Lila.
No, I'm still waiting for Jen to respond.
Well, we can figure it out next meeting too. Lila.
Well, no,
Or no,
well,
we can't. Well, yeah, we can. Can't we?
I mean, for the next bill isn't an issue at all.
Right.
Okay. Well, can we make a motion to,
Well, what,
You
the
would
next
adjust it
bill,
on
the
the
next
next
bill
bill.
is an issue because, but the next bill is an issue because it comes out on the 9th and the meeting is until the 13th. Is that correct? I mean, the billing cycle happens on the 9th and the payment date is due on the,
No. Technically, the bills are due on the 1st of the month, and they have to be paid by the 15th of the month, and then if they're not paid by 5 o'clock on the 15th is when the late fee is assessed, which is $20.40. So the bills are going to come out the first week of April,
okay.
next week, and they will be due no later than 5 o'clock on the 15th. And you can waive those late fees, and then they won't be, it's all in the software, they're automatically applied. But,
But then the credit wouldn't be able to be applied if they're going to waive it for this month because it would be, the bills would already be out and so it would
the bills
be.
are already, well,
Well, you kind of need to know too, if somebody comes in to pay their bill, are you going to collect the $20?
that's the thing. If we've already collected the $20.
All right, I'll make a motion that we waive the $20 late fee for all payments made in March and coming up in April. No late fees.
Do you want a credit assessed?
Yeah, anybody that's paid in March will get a credit in April.
okay, Kale has made that motion.
Lila, you don't know how difficult that will be for you guys to,
I don't.
I would say, until she,
We credit when we overcharge. I don't see how it would be a problem.
I don't know what the process is. I don't know.
I understand that, but we do a process where we've overcharged, where they have a credit and they're charged less the next month, and I know we've
Yeah.
done that, so
I
can't imagine it's
I
much
think
simpler.
what JR is saying is it is feasible, and what Lila is concerned about is
many there
how
were.
much this could add on to the scope of the work that the ladies make, or the Jen, because it's Jen that does it, correct?
It is, and it depends on how many people pay. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I wasn't implying it makes it easy. I'm just saying we have to.
Right.
Is
It
there
can
also
be.
time spent sending out late notices?
What's that? They're already been sent out.
Yeah, but there wouldn't be
No,
late
there
notices.
won't be late notices
So
next
then
month.
There were.
No, there won't be
What do you think?
next month.
We're talking about the ones that have already been done.
Right.
But you would still send out a late notice. You're still sending out late notices or calling them if they're not coming in.
I'm only going to call the ones that don't come in on the 25th, that we would have sent shut-off notices. We're not doing any shut-off notices.
Are you still doing late notices?
We did. Those go out on the 16th. Yes.
But you still plan to?
No, not next month. Not if you guys waive the fees, waive the late fees. We wouldn't send those out next month. We can do it. I'm sure it can be done, if that's what you want us to do. I'm sure it can be done, like JR said.
Or can you still send a notice saying it's past due and it just doesn't show up?
But we already did do that. We already sent the notices. We're talking about the ones that have already been sent for the month of March. And those were sent out on the 16th. And some people have come in since then and paid their bill and paid that late fee. And then there's some that have not come in and paid yet. So that's the debate. Do we not charge a late fee for them who are going to come in tomorrow and pay? And if we do that, then we really need to give a credit to the ones who have already paid. Moving forward, we won't send out the late notices at
It's a
all.
little bit of water under the bridge too, because this timing was really prior to any of this stuff coming up. I understand wanting to do it in April.
Yeah.
I just don't understand the complete logic between wanting to do it in March. Since this is actually from February 15th to March 15th, right?
Well, the bill that was paid in March was actually January to February, and then it was due in March.
To me, that's water under the bridge. But that's my take.
Okay, well, Kel made the motion too, but does somebody else want to make a motion to just start it for the next pay cycle, for them to pay the bill? There's more people in favor of just doing that.
What's your take on that?
Whatever. I mean, that's fine. That's what everybody can agree on, I guess. I see your point though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not really going to affect too many people really until probably this week. The people that still haven't paid. Because slowdowns really started last week, I guess. So really, yeah, last week still. It was pretty hard.
That was a lot of headache, and a lot of headache work for these guys.
Short term.
And the proposal Cal's making, I think, is the right message we should be sending. And so I would propose we start in April.
And then if there are modifications to be made.
My concern with this is that it does state in the ordinance, section 15-222, that there is a penalty assessed. And so at the point we are modifying an ordinance, I think what we need to do is create at least a temporary ordinance, basically stating that this ordinance is modified from whatever date the council decides until the termination of, because the utility could, the order of the suspension of disconnect of utility from the governor could be extended.
Yeah.
And so if the idea behind this is, as long as they're not allowed to be shut off, we're not going to be charging late fees, we need to have that coincide with that so that every time she extends it, we're not coming back in. I mean, she might not extend it. God willing, this will let up. However, so that we don't need to do a new ordinance every time, I'm suggesting either a resolution or an ordinance that states it terminates upon the termination of executive order, and then we'll put whatever that order was, and any amendments or extensions there too.
So if we
And I think that's actually a variance, is where you have an ordinance and you do something that's not in line with it. I think it would actually be a variance
Okay.
that you would term within the guidelines of whatever the state's doing.
Right.
So we don't have to change the ordinance.
Perfect.
We're basically allowing the ordinance to be dealt with differently for a period of time.
Okay.
If we, sounds like everybody's kind of in agreement to do it starting next month, we could approve that at the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we don't put the variance in the,
way a variance is done, like when somebody wants to build something, but it doesn't fit the code, but yet, for whatever reason, it's allowed to do it. So it's a blanket thing. I mean, I'm not sure, a variance may not be correct, but I think it would be because that's...
Well, I think you are correct. I mean, this is just, we were talking about it, and I thought, there's probably an ordinance on this, and we probably need to address that we are flying in the face of the ordinance.
And that's what a variance does.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
I think that's...
So just a
probably-
variance will be sufficient?
I think so.
Okay. I think so too.
Okay. Okay, so do I hear a motion to put this in effect for this next month's cycle?
Second.
Moved by Amanda, second by Larry, all in favor? Approved?
And just to clarify, that is for so long as the governor's order is in effect?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think I have anything else under the,
Okay, do I hear a motion to accept and file the clerk report?
So moved.
Moved by Cale, second by Dare, all in favor? Council comment, David? Cale?
Nothing here.
Amanda? Dare? Larry?
No.
Okay. Well, I guess here in a few seconds, 2 minutes, we can go into our executive session, so.
I'm assuming since it's not elected, it's the
Well,
next...
you already know about that, huh?
Oh, yeah, I've been here now. I'm gonna walk.
Okay.
Have a
You
good
walk
day,
home?
guys.
Yeah.
Lauren, what was that? It was not elected personnel, and what was the rest of it?
Subject to attorney-client privilege, it's exceptions B1 and 2 under 754319.
I guess I'll just get it all through.
And are you requesting the non-elected personnel?
Yes,
Okay.
I just gotta-
council and mayor.
I just gotta, who's gonna make the motion?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session for 15 minutes. 15, right?
15.
To resume session at 8:22.
Sorry, 4045. 4045?
See you,
Yeah,
JR.
I'll catch up with you later.
Yeah, you don't mind, you got it?
Anyways, 15 minutes to resume at 8:22 with the mayor and council present.
Second.
Okay, second by Larry.
See, Lyle, look at that.
Yeah, okay. Okay, well, there's no decisions made on anything there, so, I guess the next thing is, do I hear a motion to adjourn? That must be Cale. He stood up first, and then Larry. Well, it was a short meeting, I thought maybe we'd only be here an hour, but it always works out
Sorry.
that way.
It's always entertaining.
You're good.
If everybody stands up, you're all in favor.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
stand up, everybody's in favor.
Hey, Scott. We got 2 minutes.
Yep.
Oh, so Lauren. So I
Hey, Cale.
apologize too much
No
about
wine club then?
Didn't you?
Yeah.